Brilliant. Welcome to the Arreoblue podcast, where we talk all about data. And it's a real privilege to be joined today by Tosca, the General Manager for Solutions from Microsoft. We're going to be talking about various things like data and AI changes and trends, working with boutique partners, and also leadership and leading large organizations, which is a topic we've caught up on the past. But Tosca, if you just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll get into some of the topics.
Oh, thank you. And I have to say, this is my inaugural first real podcast. So I'm really excited to do it with you, Steve. I have the pleasure of running Microsoft Solutions business in the UK. And we're a team of about 600 solution specialists and technical specialists who are focused on helping Microsoft's enterprise customers really understand where our technology can help them achieve their objectives. All organizations, all shapes and sizes, and we love it. We're organized by solution area. So I have the pleasure of modern work, the tools we know and love, such as Office 365 and Teams, and now Copilot. Business applications for Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, security for all our cybersecurity solutions, Unified for the support contracts which are available to our customers, and then the Azure portfolio. So that's Azure infrastructure, app innovation, and finally, probably the most appropriate, your favorite topic, I think, Steve, is our data and AI business. And that's where the tools that underpin our data and AI infrastructure and landscape sit. It's also probably worth mentioning, I've only been in Microsoft for 2 years. In fact, 2 years and 2 weeks. And I spent just under 29 years in IBM and then Kyndryl. So I was president of Kyndryl for the UK and general manager of IBM's technology services. So I'm coming up to about 36 years in this industry. And I think there's never been such an exciting time as there is now.
Brilliant. Well, look, I definitely agree with that. The rate of change in the technology space at the moment and seeing the adoption with some of the clients is fantastic. I guess you are right? I certainly have a bias towards data and AI. So it would be really interesting to hear from you some of the changes and trends you're seeing specifically in data and AI and, how it's becoming such a critical part for enterprises.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think what I'd like to do is just frame our perspective on why we're here and why this AI opportunity is so fundamental and critical to us. Just to give you some famous statistics, the UK AI market is valued at about £14 billion right now, but it's projected to get to £650 billion by 2030. It's phenomenal, the growth. It's also said that AI and cloud technologies could add about 550 billion to the UK's GDP by 2035, enabling greater productivity. And underpinning this, the UK is now ranked third in the global 2023 AI Readiness Index. So this is a tremendous opportunity we see. We also know that the business return on investment is compelling. That's probably the number one topic. For every pound spent on companies on AI technology, on technology skills and change, the return is about £4 in value. So we're on a 4-to-1 ratio in terms of its ROI. And I think this is all being enabled by this acceleration and rapid increase in compute power. Through my nearly 36 years in the industry, the way that we've spoken about growth in compute power in context of scaling laws, we always used to refer to Moore's law for many, many years. The idea that computing power would double every 12 to 18 months. But the pace of innovation that we're now seeing, particularly around, the silicon development in chips, has broken that rule book for Moore's law. And now what we're seeing is every 4 to 6 months, that power doubling. So that growth's hard to get your head around, I think. Now, the reason I start there, because it's this increasing compute power that's fueling AI innovation and enabling the transformations we're seeing. So when you talk about the trends that you mentioned, it's not just clear that we're in the midst of a massive platform shift driven by AI, machines mimicking humans, language and creativity in a way we've never seen before. But the way we solve problems, the way we process information and generate content has been changed forever. So I think we see two fundamental changes: new user interfaces and this incredible reasoning capability. So just to touch on those two areas. So if I think about user interfaces, I'm talking more about natural human interface with generative AI, one you can interact with in a multimodal natural language. I mean, listen, it was just 2 years ago that text-only ChatGPT was launched, right? And look where we are now. So now we have voice, text, image, all of that at the same time. The second point of reasoning is where generative AI adds real value to day-to-day in our life. So that reasoning engine that works on top of data to make recommendations and decisions. And I think the most recent example of how that is really being used and coming to life is our announcements on Microsoft's vision for agents and automation. We've been getting used to Copilot over the last 18 months. I've been doing my 11 minutes a day for 11 weeks, and now I use Copilot in everything I do. However, we've now announced the ability to extend Copilot with planning and reasoning capability into the form of agents, enabling us to create this rich tapestry, or as some people in Microsoft would say, this constellation of agents to help all of us and our customers in our day-to-day work. So Copilot now becomes essentially our UI for AI. And in the background, you have this whole host, this tapestry, this constellation of agents working on your behalf. It's like having an extra team member. And that's utilizing the data that you have across your systems to help you get through your work. I mean, it's just fascinating. It's a great time to be in technology.
Yeah, certainly. And like some of the things there, Microsoft has always been really good, and I really enjoyed being part of the Azure team on some of these platform plays and bringing that sort of scale of the productivity gains across the whole enterprise. And you also mentioned, and I know from your background as well, from having spoke before, you supported some of the startups in your time previously when you were at IBM. And what I would really like to get is a little bit of your view on, working with boutiques and how boutiques fit into this fabric. Microsoft has always been so partner driven, but your perspective on working with boutiques and agile companies.
Well, I said at the start, didn't I? It's my very first podcast, and it's because it's with you and you asked me and I couldn't say no, because I think for me, the benefit of working with someone like you, but also your company, Arreoblue, and the team that you've created, is that agility you have to be able to respond to market and customer demands. I mean, that agility allows you to be able to capture the opportunity, to be able to meet customers where they are. And I love that. What I touched on earlier, that when I think about your company and the pace of change and innovation we're all living through at the moment, it's quite remarkable. So the benefit from agile, responsive partners like Arreoblue to turn up at our customers, and we work with you and working together to help them navigate this pace of change is really exciting. I know you've shared with me that you consider yourselves fixers of pace. Who knew there was such a thing? So turning up in a challenged environment or to a challenged project and improving the situation, turning the challenging to value acceleration. I think that's an incredibly valuable offering. And I've seen firsthand how our customers do respond to that.
Brilliant. Yeah, and it's been fantastic with the support from yourself, and also obviously working with the clients in that partnership piece. We really love that style of engagement. And I know another thing that we've spoken about, and me and Saranga earlier did a bit of a co-founders piece. We were talking slightly about imposter syndrome and how we deal with stuff. And I know I've asked you before about leadership. Certainly my time at Microsoft was hugely inspirational to, I think, how I've developed. You're responsible for leading a huge section of Microsoft. And just wanted to know, how do you help people adapt to the, consistent changes that technology brings?
Yes. I mean, listen, this is something I would say that my years of experience help inform me to figure out what's the right thing to do and try and learn from the mistakes I've made, and I've made plenty of those. It's a constant topic of conversation for my team. How do we keep the lights on our existing core business, and then how do we build a startup in this large organization that innovates and scales up in this new world of generative AI? And how do we do that? How do we do the two things together? Now, some of your listeners, if I could call them then, may have heard about the S-curve of innovation. And we're living in this series of S-curves at the moment. So what I think is critical is to have a culture that supports and enables that environment. So we need to operate in a way that promotes experimenting, prototyping, failing fast, trying things, and encourage people to learn and move on. And it's okay to make a mistake, but let's spot that, learn from it, and move on. And let's try things, experiment. I love that. We spoke about Arreoblue's agility, I did a second ago, and it's critical that we have that agility too, to be able to change how we look at our business and build out propositions for our customers, given the rate of pace of change. That's one thing. So I also think about something which is adaptive leadership. And we have this great thing in Microsoft about having and focusing on a growth mindset, which is about being open for change and open for feedback. And listen, feedback for me is a gift, an absolute gift. So I think our growth mindset foundation, and coupled with adaptive leadership, is very helpful for this. We have an embedded culture of being a learn-it-all rather than a know-it-all, which I love. And embracing not knowing the answer is okay, to be curious. But you have to be curious. One of the things that I do with my team, I have 600 people who have the deepest skill in the UK, and they're the best at what they do. But I have to allow that we give time back for them to learn. So one of the things we do is we have a learning Friday afternoon, and it's free time to be able to make sure that you continue to be able to be curious, and we allow people time to be able to learn about our products, what we've announced, and we don't have any team meetings during that time. So people can use that time to catch up. It's really important that we do that. I think, because I also think that generative AI now has become this big leveler for everybody. And we're learning about this all for the first time. So we're also seeing a lot of our early professions, of which we have more than 70, become masters in generative AI because they've started their careers at the beginning of this revolution. So we're all embracing this as an opportunity. I think the last thing I would say is having an intentional focus on understanding the technology is one of our North Stars. And that also drives this curiosity, because I think to be in technology and to love your career, which I certainly do, you do have to be curious because of the rate and pace. So we're very intentional about that.
Brilliant. I love the learn it all, not know it all. We're actually looking at schools at the moment for one of my kids, and there was a lovely statement I saw at one of the calls, which is we give our children confidence, but without arrogance, which I thought was a really
It's
nice
lovely,
statement.
isn't it?
Yeah. And the leveler piece as well for generative AI, we were talking about it earlier. So our approach has always been with a degree of transparency when we talk to our clients, openly learning if we need to together so that they can learn at the fastest speed that they can. And some of the generative AI stuff has been, for us as a startup, it actually gives us the ability to do a lot of things that would normally require very, very large departments within a company for us to be able to churn out. So it has been a real leveler. I guess topic 4, just understanding some of the challenges and mapping a path to success. So the solution area that you look after is responsible for helping enterprises understand the major challenges that they can face into as an enterprise. And a big part of the solutions business is mapping out to fix those. How are you seeing the team, again, handle some of that rate of change that comes with this consistently evolving landscape?
I think that the team are really well equipped to be able to help customers get their heads around their own business challenges because of the time we take. And we really do are intentional about investing in our teams. Our approach is always to be led by a business problem or a business outcome that our customer's driving, not a technology solution. So business outcome, and I think a realization of value. They're the key drivers that we have. I think also we do a lot of collaboration and ideation side by side with the customer. So co-creation. I have the pleasure of having the Microsoft Innovation Hub as part of my portfolio. And I love the fact that we every day, more than one customer every day is coming through our Innovation Hub where we're ideating. We're deciding on what prototypes and experiments to run together, but side by side with a customer. And they have to be business outcome driven, particularly in this world of AI where customers really do want to see what the return on investment is. And that's work in progress. We're fine tuning that. So I think the team has, because we have this growth mindset, I think culturally, I think Microsoft, for me, been an amazing organization where I see how enthusiastic our teams are about achieving the unachievable with technology. And therefore, I can't think of anybody better to sit in front of our customers than people with that mindset.
Brilliant. Yeah, we've been part of some of those ideation sessions. It's really incredible to see some of the ideas come out and then use techniques like design thinking on how to fix some of those problems. Well, I want to say thank you so much for doing your first ever podcast with us. It's been a pleasure having you on here. I just wanted to offer up, I don't know if you had any final thoughts before we close out the session.
I would just say, listen, with your deep experience working across various industries and from your data and AI perspective, I think there's a real moment here for you to help customers realize what the productivity gains are, the business outcomes that can be achieved. And I think it's a pleasure to work with you. We're here to support you. I really appreciate your customer focus. I know we're working on customers together, and the way that you deeply understand Microsoft and how we work. And, just love to continue to partner with you. So thank you.
Definitely. Absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Tosca, and look forward to doing more work together.
Thank you.
Thank you.